pesepak bola dari Inggris, yang mana dia katakan bahwa wanita-wanita Melayu itu sama sekali tidak peduli. Tidak peduli, berbeda dengan wanita-wanita yang ada di Eropa dan yang ada di Dubai. Nah, ini yang dia katakan langsung kepada kita, guys. Tidak peduli, apa maksudnya?
One, two, three, come on!
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Halo guys, halo semua. Berjumpa lagi hari ini masih bersama saya dengan doa yang baik-baik untuk kita semua. Semoga kita dalam keadaan sehat senantiasa, jasmani juga rohaninya. Yang sakit agar lekas dapat disembuhkan, yang sehat agar tetap dapat menjaga kesehatannya setiap saat dimanapun Anda berada. Amin, amin ya robbal alamin. Oke, di sini ada satu kisah menarik lainnya yang tentu sangat mengejutkan, guys. Cerita ini datang dari pria asal Inggris. Sebenarnya dia adalah pemain sepak bola dari Inggris. Nah, mungkin nanti Anda dapat mengenal siapa ini lelaki ya, guys ya. Mungkin saja dia pernah tenar pemain sepak bola di Inggris. Jadi di sini, guys, dia lebih memilih untuk pensiun muda lebih cepat dari perkiraan, guys, karena ingin mencari ketenangan di tempat lain. Ada 3 negara sebagai referensinya, guys. Yang pertama adalah Arab Saudi, yang kedua adalah Malaysia, dan yang ketiga adalah Indonesia. Jadi setelah dia coba untuk masuk ke dalam 3 negara ini, dia sudah masuk ke 3 negara ini, guys. Namun akhirnya dia jatuhkan pilihannya kepada Malaysia, guys. Antara 3 negara Islam ini dia lebih memilih Malaysia. Karena apa? Saya tidak tahu, guys. Nanti kita cari tahu ya, kita akan mereaksi video itu. Tapi di sini, guys, ya, ada satu statement yang mengejutkan dari dia, bahwa selama dia di Malaysia, dia mengaku tentang wanita Melayu sangat tidak peduli. Jadi di sini dia katakan bahwa wanita Melayu tipikal orang yang tidak peduli. Beda dengan wanita yang ada di Eropa dan juga yang ada di Arab. Nah, mengapa dia katakan demikian? Apa maksudnya, guys? Saya nggak tahu. Mengapa dia menyebutkan bahwa wanita Melayu itu adalah wanita yang tidak peduli. Padahal kita sama-sama tahu bahwa Melayu itu selalu mengedepankan adab dan sopan santun serta ramah dan tata krama. Oke, tanpa banyak basa-basi, guys, saya ingin tahu sebenarnya apa yang dia maksud. Kok wanita Melayu tidak peduli? Oke, kita akan let's go mencari tahu informasi penting ini, guys. Tanpa banyak basa-basi, kita segera langsung bereaksi. Ini videonya.
Apa khabar?
First, tell us about your story. How did you end up in Malaysia? When did your journey with Islam start? When did you meet the love of your life, who happened to be a gorgeous Malaysian lady? Take me through the beginnings of your journey with Malaysia.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for having me here. It's very kind of you. The start with Islam, I would say, was 3 or 4 years ago. I was living in the Middle East, so I was living in Dubai before I moved to Malaysia. Living in a Muslim country helped by having a lot of Muslim friends in the UK and also in Dubai and traveling all around the Middle East. That got me to experience the way in which Muslims treat one another, good and bad, and also discussions on nights out, and even with customers, I would see them get up from a meeting and go and pray and come back, and even when I put pressure on them professionally, they would remain relatively calm and composed. I dive deeper and ask them why are they able to stay so composed, and they said everything is because of Allah and their religion. So I took an interest into this. I took an interest into Christianity, Buddhism, got to the stage in the final 12 months to 6 months of my 6-7 years in Dubai where I knew I had to go and explore the area of religion, not Islam, religion.
All of possible ones.
And to do that, in my opinion, it required me to leave my job, move to a different country.
Start like soul searching journey.
Yeah, well, just answer the questions that I had internally, which is, if I've achieved my first goal of becoming a professional football player, even though I didn't achieve the heights that I wish I had or that I arguably should have, I still was paid to play football for 8 years. So if that didn't make me happy, truly, and then I had great people in my life, I don't have a sad story with my family or friends or nothing at all, but I had this feeling, which now I've been a practicing Muslim for 4 years, and it talks about your soul so much. It was my soul. Finances were okay. I felt comfortable in.
Oke, mungkin Anda semua barangkali sudah ada yang mengenal dari pria ini, guys. Pesepak bola dari Inggris, dan dia katakan di sini bahwa 8 tahun dia bermain sepak bola dan itu dia tidak mendapatkan ketenangan yang dia mau, yang dia harapkan selama ini. Makanya dia lebih memilih untuk pensiun dini. Oke, kita lanjut.
The way that I was looking, I was healthy, both physically, mentally, but my soul was screaming.
So we could safely say the spiritual side was not fulfilled
Not
back
at all.
then.
And I didn't know why. Now I know why.
But you said you've researched all the religions. So what brought you to Islam, and where does your wife coming into the picture?
Well, when we first met, which was over social media,
Oh,
it was over a dating app. That's how
You were living in Dubai.
I was living in Dubai. I knew I would be leaving Dubai at some stage. So I started asking myself, of all these countries I've traveled to, where would I see myself living? And I had a short list of Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, and Malaysia.
okay.
And Malaysia was the country out of the 3 that I traveled to the least.
Oh.
Saudi I've probably been to 60, 65 times. Indonesia,
wow.
yeah, a lot. We went in. Saudi was our main market,
Right.
which was great. Indonesia I'd been to a number of times, but I'd only seen it from a tourist perspective. I didn't really understand how it would be living, visas, business. And the final time I went to Indonesia, I really didn't like the way that the expats were treating the place. And I can't say that for all cities in Indonesia, but
You just didn't feel
No.
like fitting in.
and the business trip I had in Malaysia
Okay.
almost cemented that I wanted to live here. But when we first met over social media, it was almost the complete opposite of what you would expect a romance story to be. It wasn't jokes and wooing and flowers, and
Okay.
it was, who are you? Where are you from? And it doesn't mean where are you from in terms of what state. It means where are you from, as in, have you had heartbreak? Have you had trauma? Have you got a good relationship with your family? Have you not? What do you expect from a marriage? Do you ever want to get married? Do you ever want to have kids? Do you believe in God? Where's your deen?
Skipping all the surface level, shallow stuff.
Just straight to it, yeah. And that was mutual. Otherwise, it would seem a little bit intense from my side, but I got the intensity back.
Ternyata saya juga baru tahu, guys, bahwa dia menjadi mu'alaf di Malaysia. Nah, sering ya saya dengar kabar seperti ini, bahwa banyak turis yang masuk Malaysia berujung dengan memeluk agama Islam. Oke, kita lanjut.
Which was the catalyst for me to then book a flight, jump on a plane, come and see my wife now, Istri saya.
Istri saya.
For 4 days, 4 or 5 days. It was nice. We'd come, meet, sightsee, get to know each other, and
Everything you imagine came true.
yeah,
Almost better.
even from the first time that I met her at the airport, she very kindly picked me up from the airport in Kuala Lumpur.
Malaysian
and-
hospitality.
Oke.
And I could see from her body language she was excited. You know, that nervous energy of excitement. She wasn't shy. It was just that, like, she wanted it to go well. She'd been speaking to me on the phone. We mirrored each other in lots of ways, even though our upbringing, our gender, our nationalities are completely opposite. Our actual morals and principles and hopes and dreams for the future were the same.
We're alive.
So she wanted it to go well.
But you were then already Muslim, or
No,
you
no.
were already? But you were already familiar with the religion, and because you narrowed down the places that you wanted to move into.
Yeah.
They were all Muslim countries,
Yeah.
so you already knew you want to explore that journey
I
further.
bought that time through the hard work I did in Dubai. But in hindsight, what really would have been ideal is save the money that I did in Dubai, but read the Quran, go to the masjids, mosques,
Oh, yeah.
learn. But I basically put religion and Islam on the side,
Okay.
and knew in the back of my mind that I would come back to it. But it got to the stage where it was bigger and stronger than me, where for whatever reason, and I still don't know, and hopefully in 5-10
Ternyata dia sudah mulai mempelajari Islam pada saat dia berada di Dubai, guys, ya. Dan dia membaca-baca Al-Quran, lalu akhirnya menjadi seorang mu'alaf. Kita mulai.
in 50 years' time, the answer will be clear. I don't know why I was pushed internally so much to change location, change job, even change some of the people you're around, change what you watch, change what you consume. I don't know why, but the power was strong.
Oh, wow.
Strong.
We could say true calling, right?
Really?
And true destiny.
Really.
But you officially reverted and took your Shahada in Malaysia.
In
Yeah, yeah.
Jawi, in Kuala Lumpur, Jawi. It stands for something, but Jawi is where I went and took my Shahada on the 3rd of February this year.
This year.
Oh,
wow,
3
congratulations.
Touching on,
February.
you said about my wife being born into Islam. That's a massive help for me because I spent 6 weeks in Ramadan with my new family-in-law. Her mother, father, brother and sister are particularly pious, particularly strict. And that has given my wife a fantastic education in terms of reading Quran in Arabic, surahs, teaching me, helping me become imam at home. But she has her own story as well, where I've been a typical defensive husband at times online, but I've learned through Islam and through being patient that actually let people make their own assumptions and let people make up their own minds, because they've seen her at times not wear a hijab. They've seen where, you know, it's me on camera, sometimes she's on camera, and I've read a few things that weren't particularly nice, but where I'm particularly proud of my wife is whilst I accelerated and just was going to masjids and reading the Quran, practicing, praying 5 times a day before I took my Shahada, she was watching me do all of this, and she took it upon herself to increase her own level of practicing,
Oh, wow.
which of course strengthened the relationship I have with her family, because they're now looking at me instead of a Matt Sally with tattoos that wasn't a Muslim who lived in Dubai on a long distance relationship. They're seeing a guy who's actually committed to Islam first and foremost.
Now a little bit on your marriage, multicultural marriage. Was there any like a massive surprise, Malay culture versus British culture?
I'm trying to think, because so much of the conversations were done so early, even before proposal stage and being introduced to my wife's family, any discussions of dowry. My wife and I, we had these conversations right from the get-go, but where I did struggle initially, I can't speak for my wife. I know what she would say because I've asked her these questions, but where I was struggling initially was, I love to say, it is what it is. Black is black, white is white, yes is yes, no is no. If it's an opinion on something, then it's not a fact, it's just right or wrong. And the way in which I would articulate and speak would sometimes, even if I didn't raise the tone of my voice, just the directness and bluntness of how I would speak would sometimes make my wife, at the time, fiance, almost like hold back what she wanted to say. But over time, I have become softer and understood Malay culture of sometimes not always saying yes and no so bluntly. You can say, inshallah, even though I don't necessarily agree with that, it's not in my nature to say inshallah.
Oh yeah.
But understanding that sometimes you can upset and offend people, and my intentions are not to do so. And as time has gone by over the nearly 2 years we've been together, she's become a little bit more Western, where she'll say to me, Sayang, yes, no, no. So I look at her sometimes and think, oh, okay.
Is there something in a Malay culture that you've noticed in your wife that you wish Europeans had, or Europeans borrow, that you've never seen growing up?
I can't speak for all Westerners and I can't speak for all Malaysians. So there's a disclaimer there and then. However, stereotypes are there for a reason, and I am still to this day shocked at how unbothered my wife is, and many other Malay women. I say Malay because I don't really know a lot of Malaysian Indian or Malaysian Chinese, but Malay, how unbothered they are with money.
Oh.
As long as you protect and provide, you feel safe.
Okay,
I'm loyal
okay,
to her.
okay.
I involve her in my plans. I provide rent, food, clothes, etc. She doesn't care if it's a Charles and Keith bag or a Chanel bag. She doesn't care if we go business class or economy. She doesn't even care if we even go on a plane and we go on a train or we walk. She doesn't care. Whereas I lived in Dubai for nearly 7 years and I'm from England. Women do care. Again, not all, but a lot. So you ask the question as a man, is she with me because I am trying my best to be a good person and I'm nice to be with? Or is it because she thinks actually this guy prides himself on paying for the bills and doing stuff? I like that. I'll say and do the right things at the beginning. Let's have a baby. And then there's no prenuptial agreement. Let's take half of his money. Because that happens so much in the West, especially footballers that I played with that had a better career, a higher achieving career than I had, where they earned a lot more money. They got divorced and they had to...
taken advantage
I mean,
of, basically.
it is unfair.
Dan demikian tadi video yang baru saja kita reaksi bersama. Nah, bagaimana tanggapan Anda semua di sana, guys ya? Jangan salah paham untuk hal ini, bahwa dikatakan ya, dari seorang Mat Saleh, ya, beliau adalah pesepak bola dari Inggris, yang mana dia katakan bahwa wanita-wanita Melayu itu sama sekali tidak peduli. Tidak peduli, berbeda dengan wanita-wanita yang ada di Eropa dan yang ada di Dubai. Nah, ini yang dia katakan langsung kepada kita, guys. Tidak peduli, apa maksudnya? Ternyata ya, sudah dikulik, sudah dijelaskan secara terperinci bahwa wanita Melayu yang dia katakan itu sama sekali tidak peduli dengan materi, tidak peduli dengan uang, tidak peduli dengan kendaraan, tidak peduli dengan barang-barang brand yang dipakainya. Nah, di sini dia heran, guys. Heran. Mengapa ke orang Melayu sama sekali tidak peduli dengan hal itu? Di saat wanita-wanita Eropa yang dia kenal, itu pasti melihat hal yang dikatakan tadi. Melihat pasangannya dari materi. Itulah dari sudut pandangnya, guys. Ya. Namun itu berbeda dengan wanita Melayu yang dia kenal selama ini, termasuk istrinya, guys. Dia heran mengapa wanita-wanita Melayu itu tidak peduli. Mau bagaimanapun segi materi yang dimiliki oleh pasangannya, dia sama sekali tidak peduli. Mau pakaian brand apapun yang dipakai, mau kereta apapun yang digunakan, mau sebesar apapun investasi dari pria ini, dia sama sekali tidak peduli, guys. Dan wanita itu menerima pasangannya itu apa adanya. Itulah yang dia maksud ya, guys ya. Apalagi semenjak dia mengenal Melayu, dia jadi berubah 180 derajat. Inilah yang dia katakan. Lebih halus, lebih sopan kepada orang yang lebih tua. Ya, yang mana itu tentu tidak didapati pada saat dia berada di negara asalnya. Dan dia katakan juga, dia pernah ke Arab, dia pernah beberapa kali ke Indonesia, tapi dia rasa lebih cocok di Malaysia. Tapi ini bukan secara universal, guys, namun perspektif dari pribadi dia sendiri. Ya, karena kalau cocok, tidak cocok itu tergantung orangnya ya, guys ya. Banyak juga yang tinggal di Indonesia dan juga banyak juga turis-turis yang tinggal di Malaysia. Itu tergantung dari selera masing-masing. Namun yang tidak lagi kita kagetkan bahwa selalu saja ada turis-turis asing yang datang ke Malaysia tiba-tiba jadi mu'alaf. Banyak sekali. Itu semua datang dari hati nurani mereka. Ada yang mereka itu penasaran dengan masjid, ada yang dia suka atau ingin menikahi wanita Melayu, ada juga yang ingin nikah dengan pria Melayu, dan lain sebagainya, dengan keadaan yang berbeda-beda. Tapi saya pastikan semakin banyak orang yang menjadi mu'alaf semenjak melihat Islam di Malaysia. Oke, demikian tadi video aku. Semoga video ini bermanfaat bagi kita semua, dan aku mohon diri mohon maaf jika ada kesalahan kata, kesalahan sikap pada Anda semua mohon dimaafkan, dan aku akhiri wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.